You're a snake in a waistcoat. I am so obsessed with this. I think it's hilarious. You cad! You bounder and a cad! Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. And welcome if you've never come and watched one of my videos before. Today, we are gonna go Victorian. Don't ask me why. I have literally gone down such a rabbit hole. We've all done it. We've all gone down a rabbit hole. And this one, I don't even know where it came from. But today, we're going to dive into the sassy, savage, and downright bonkers world of old-timey swear words and sayings. Because yes, the Victorians swore. They shaded, they side-eyed, just like we do. This is the era that gave us flattering after all. Anyway, dinner time. Yeah, she's gonna sit with us for a bit until she gets bored. I have chocolate buttons here. This is why she's interested. No, you cannot eat any chocolate. We don't give her chocolate. First of all, I thought we'll step into the high class shade. Oh, spiffing with my tea and crumpets. They mocked with elegance. The upper class, they did not yell. They spoke with daggers and smiled. So let's dive in to what the first class used to say to slag each other off. Not like us and our F-bombs. Like, this is like crazy shit. Hold on. You're a bounder and a cad. Bounder and a cad. So basically, that was a classy way of saying you're a snake in a waistcoat, basically. So a cad equals a scoundrel, and a bounder was a social climbing creep. So yeah, you're a bounder and a cad. Imagine saying that. Imagine leaning out of your car window. You cad! You bounder and a cad! You ill-bred scullion. A scullion was a servant. And add ill-bred and boom, you've got your insult right there and then. So basically that means you're poor and annoying. I don't even know how I got into these, but they're hilarious. You've got more brass than sense. So basically that is saying someone is flashy and loud and a full-time idiot. You're as daft as a brush. You're as daft as a brush. Apparently, this one actually survived into modern times, which is great. I don't even know what that means or anything. I just read that that is an old time thing that used to say to each other, you're dafter than a brush. You have the manners of a costermonger. By the way, I could be saying some of these wrong. Like, I'm just reading them off a piece of paper and I'm just like, how do I even say that? But yeah, you have the manners of a costermonger. Oh, the drama. Basically, a costermonger was a street fruit seller. So basically, they are calling you as uncultured as fruit store trash. Love that for us. So basically, those were the sort of, as I said, the high class shade that they would give you, like the high class insults. Like the Queen would lean out, she would never say these things, but you can imagine, like Downton Abbey, you ill-bred scullion. It's just weird. Anyway, so we move on to the next one. So these were working class sayings and sass. So this is more like, you know, your working class. Just standard people. These are the things that they used to say. The working class had zero time for subtlety. That was it. They had no time for that. They were busy working, trying to earn their pennies. I am so obsessed with this. I think it's hilarious. And the first one is what my nan used to say, and that's trollop. Or a strumpet or a Jezebel, but trollop. We've all heard that. You know our nans, well, I don't know if you're old like me, your nan would be like that, trollop. So basically all of those, trollop, strumpet and Jezebel, are all kind of things to be like, you know, she's doing whatever she wants with her body, and the church is so disapproving of that. And you can kind of use these ironically now, I suppose. Trollop core is in, maybe, I don't know. Gutter snipe, gutter snipe. It means like a kid from the slums. But if you say it right, it could sound like a little Harry Potter spell. Expelliarmus, you little gutter snipe. So the next one is slattern. This is basically a woman who's messy or loose. So this is like the Victorians' version of a hot mess, but like so much meaner. Like they meant it like with really nasty things. If they said this to you, it was not nice. They'd literally be perfect for the person who's on their third espresso martini dancing on a table at 2 a.m. in the morning. I like espresso martinis. Slattern. Is that what I am? Because of my taste of drinks? I'm going to eat a fucking button for that. Ninny hammer. Just say it out loud. Go on. Ninny hammer. What a ninny hammer. It does feel like an insult. Ninny hammer. It's like really mean, calling someone an idiot basically. You ninny hammer. Oh, there's such a ninny hammer. These are the creative curses. Some of these are just ridiculous. Let's carry on with this one. It is, may your pudding turn to soot. Because everybody loved pudding. Like, pudding was a really important part of the Victorian culture. So you're saying that your pudding turned to soot. In other words, can your pudding turn black and be horrible? Like, a plague upon your house. This is the Victorian original of unfollow and block. It's dramatic, it's theatrical. So I just saw the next one. These are just so unhinged. I love them. May the moths feast on your cravat. So this was more poetic, I feel. What this meant, like, I hope you fall from grace in the most itchiest way possible. Do you know what I mean? And then the next one is hang your knob. It's like, yes, hang your knob. I know that sounds really rude. That means head or occasionally something else. Us now, I suppose these days, we would refer to the word knob as something else. But back in the Victorian times, it meant head as well. So just the head on your head, obviously, not, you know. And hang is just as nasty as it sounds. So there you go. You're as rank as a rascal and a rogue. So weird. Why don't we say these anymore? I know why we don't say them anymore, but they're hilarious. So what I learned as well from the Victorian era of sayings and swear words is some of them didn't really sound like insults unless you actually really listened to what they were saying. They're just normal words, but you have to listen and take in what they're saying. So like this one, for instance, she's no better than she ought to be. And that one's more of like the Victorians' way of saying that, like, the woman's been seen with her ankles out and I disapprove, kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's not the full shilling. So translation for that is he's a few brain cells short of a full set. So he's a bit dumb. Gone to the dogs. That one basically is something that's gone fancy to flop. So something that, like, you know, like when you curl your hair and you make it all look nice, or you just make your hair look, you make yourself look really nice and you go outside and it rains, you know, you've gone to the dogs. Kind of like, I suppose, the dog's dinner in a way. You know, we kind of use that phrase, or have it closer to our, like, you know, when I was growing up, we used to be like, oh, you know, it's a right dog's dinner. So the devil finds work for idle hands. Look, it found me a button. This is how, like, grannies used to tell you to stop lounging around. Like, if you don't do anything and you just sit there doing nothing, you're going to become a criminal. So do your chores or you're going to become a criminal. So keep yourself busy and you won't do bad things. I wouldn't trust him to hold my bonnet. That basically means that he's as untrustworthy as wet cardboard. So basically, the Victorians were masters of fake swearing. They didn't actually swear like like we swear. They had words that would be like swearing, but they're not really swearing. Like, you know, like we're like, I'm trying to think of something. You're such a fool. It's not really swearing. Obviously, that isn't a nicest word, but those are words that I would say we use today that aren't really like swearing, but you know. Zounds. Zounds with a Z. Zounds, like sounds but with a Z. Zounds. That was short for God's wounds, because they loved a sneaky blasphemy. Gadzooks and Gadsbodikins. I'm so saying these wrong, but they're so funny. So they are legit curses that sound like Pokemon, like rejected Pokemon characters. They're the types of things that you would use when, like, you stub your toe or you saw your ex at Tesco's or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Gadsbodikins. I can't say that. I don't know if it's bodykins or bodykins. Blazes, dash it. Okay, so they were kind of, I assume, polite versions of saying the F word. Dash it instead of fuck it. So these were the types of swear words that you could literally say at the vicar's dinner party and not get the side eye. They were polite swears. Now I thought what we could do is do a fun thing of how we could potentially use some of these swears today. So do you want to roast someone like it's 1879? Here's how. So your boss emails you at 4:59. You could quite happily reply, "You ill-tempered scullion, may your pudding curdle." Your ex posts a thirst trap The bounder returns. If someone eats your lunch at work from the fridge. Whoever stole my sandwich is no better than they ought to be. And I hope the moths find your trousers. So there you have it, my delicious little darlings. Some Victorian sayings and swear words to spice up your vocabulary. Comment, tell me which one you found funny. If you want to see more content like this, I have loads of others, like maybe Tudor. I don't know. I've gone really, really deep into this rabbit hole. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.